Introduction. Environmental toxins are pervasive in the modern world. They are present in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the products we put on our skin, the materials we build our homes with, and even in the blood that flows through us. The average body burden, which is the total amount of chemicals present in our bodies at any given time, is around 700. Even newborn babies have been found to have nearly 300 toxic chemicals in their blood. Many of these toxins are probable or known carcinogens. In fact, up to 90% of cancers can be linked to environmental factors. Toxins threaten our health, the health of our planet, and the health of future generations. One might wonder why governments and regulating organizations aren't doing more to protect the public from environmental toxins. The truth is, many chemicals that have been approved for use have not been properly evaluated. That is to say, a chemical may be relatively low risk in a small amount on its own, but when other chemicals are added to the same product, the cocktail effect takes place. The cocktail effect is the synergistic interaction between multiple chemicals. Simply put, the potency of a chemical may be increased dramatically when used in combination with other substances. Most research that governing bodies use to determine safety doesn't consider this phenomenon. Furthermore, more often than not, chemicals are not even required to be proven safe before being used in products. So just because something is being sold does not mean it is safe for use. The responsibility of determining safety falls to the consumer. Increasing our awareness of environmental toxins and their impact on our health is the first step in creating a non-toxic lifestyle. Our health is primarily determined by what we put in, on, or around our bodies. The healthier we are, the better our bodies can naturally detoxify themselves through our innate physiological detoxification systems. Unfortunately, these days, the overload of toxins we are exposed to makes it impossible for our bodies to keep up all on their own. That's why avoiding and eliminating exposures to toxic materials, chemicals, and food is so important. The overall objective of toxic-free living is to make better choices that decrease our body's burden. Committing to a toxic-free lifestyle is not about perfectionism. Rather, we should focus on educating ourselves and taking small, feasible steps towards creating better health for ourselves and the world we live in. This book is an overview of some of the most common everyday toxin exposures and how to best avoid them, as well as the foundational ways we can support our natural detoxification. I hope this information inspires you to take action and begin making small shifts on your journey to non-toxic living. Make sustainability a priority. Eliminate plastics, packaging, and single-use items. 1. Say no to plastics. Commit to minimizing plastic use. There is no denying that plastics have become a pervasive problem in our modern world. Plastics are produced prolifically. They can take up to 500 years to decompose and have had a profoundly negative impact on our universe. Yet many individuals remain uneducated about the vast negative effects plastics have, not just on the Earth's ecosystem, but also on the ecosystem of our physical bodies. The importance of minimizing plastic use and exposures cannot be overstated when committing to a non-toxic lifestyle. There are so many reasons why plastics are detrimental to human health that it is hard to know where to begin. The most broadly recognized plastic component by consumers is probably bisphenol A, BPA. BPA is a known toxin and probable human carcinogen. Many studies have linked low levels of BPA exposure to prostate cancer, breast cancer, brain development issues, and metabolic diseases, including obesity. In 2012, BPA was banned in baby bottles in the U.S., but the toxin is still widely used in other plastics. If you're familiar with reading labels at the grocery store, you have seen the BPA-free trend, but I caution you not to be fooled. BPA-free does not mean toxin-free. BPAs are just one in a group of bisphenol compounds that can be present in plastics. For example, bisphenol S, BPS, which is a common substitute for BPA, is nearly the same in structure and has been found to be more absorbable and equally as dangerous to human health. However, there are no regulations on BPS. It is also important to note that bisphenols are not just found in plastic either. BPA and BPS are present in resin linings of metal food and beverage cans as well. If a single toxin isn't enough to convince you to reconsider plastic use, there are over 140 other chemicals known to be hazardous to human health used in plastic materials. Some of the worst offenders include alkylphenols, perfluoroalkyl, PFAs, PFOs, PFOAs, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, phthalates, polystyrene, styrofoam, brominated flame retardants, BFRs, dioxins, UV stabilizers, and heavy metals. Eliminating plastics as much as possible, especially if it comes into contact with our bodies or something we ingest, is essential to removing toxic substances from our environment. 2. Nix packaging. If it comes in packaging, think again. These days, it seems like everything comes in packaging, or worse, a packaged item comes inside more packaging. Items at the grocery store, takeout food, beverages to go, e-commerce, you name it, packaging is everywhere. While my strides toward packaging-free and waste-free living largely began for environmental reasons, I've learned that there are health reasons to avoid packaging as well. In particular, whether at a store or restaurant, food packaging is littered with chemicals. Problems arise from putting our food or beverages in materials that will then leach chemicals into what we're consuming. Examples include drinking through a plastic lid or straw, eating with plastic utensils, putting food in toxic containers, carrying food in plastic bags, and so on. As convenient as takeaway food options are, the containers and wrappers they come in are often made with toxic materials. A joint study by Safer Chemicals, Healthy Families, and Toxin-Free Future looked at top grocery chains in the U.S. and found nearly 2/3 of the materials tested were treated with PFAs. These results are in addition to research that has found PFAs in microwave popcorn bags, fast food wrappers, and takeout containers. PFAs are a pervasive class of industrial chemicals that are linked to a wide range of health issues, including some cancers. PFAs are used in consumer products to repel water, grease, and stains. These chemicals linger in the body as well as the environment. They have even been detected in newborns passed from mother and breast milk. Another worrisome place PFAs have been found is in compost, passed from treated recycled products, which then negatively affects soil, water, crops, and wildlife. Another packaging material of concern is styrene, better known as styrofoam. Styrofoam is a widely used material from packaging peanuts to cups and takeout containers. Styrofoam is non-biodegradable, which has tremendous environmental implications and is also a known carcinogen. Given these facts, 3 American states have banned the sale and distribution of the product. Another 13 states have bans in particular cities or counties, and 3 more have bans taking effect in the coming years. Other packaging items with negative environmental and health impacts, such as plastic straws and plastic bags, have also seen bans in certain parts of the U.S. and other countries. While these restrictions are a positive start, I firmly believe they do not go far enough. Like many toxic products, the momentum for these changes is largely environmental, with little emphasis on their health effects on consumers who are exposed to them. There is negligibly limited consumer education. If the public knew they were at risk of absorbing toxic chemicals from commonly used materials, I believe they would choose differently. 3. End single-use anything. Reusable items are a must. The easiest way to eliminate toxic single-use items is to carry non-toxic reusables. If you enjoy your beverage out habit, find a shop that allows you to bring a reusable cup. Always carry a reusable water bottle with you. Avoid using single-use plates, cups, bowls, utensils, and straws. When eating outside of the home, plan ahead and make sure to bring silverware or bamboo utensils, a cloth napkin, reusable cup and straw, and pack food in a glass or stainless steel container. My advice is to focus on eliminating single-use items as much as possible. 4. Plastic bottles have to go. Opt out. Even though it is redundant at this point, plastic water bottles deserve to be highlighted all on their own. Bottled water has become an unfortunate norm in society. I have to say, whoever came up with the concept of bottling a resource that should be free, wrapping it in toxic materials that shouldn't be used, and successfully selling it worldwide is an evil genius. It has been well established that plastic bottles contain chemicals that leach into the water we then consume, contributing to reproductive, neurologic, hormonal issues, and has a probable link to cancer. Research has even gone so far as to quantify this epidemic, showing that Americans ingest up to 121,000 plastic microparticles a year from consuming tap water alone. For those who drink bottled water, that number increases significantly. Some research has even shown that the average person consumes about 5 grams of plastic a week. To give you a visual, ingesting 5 grams of plastic is equivalent to consuming a credit card. I'd also like to point out here that this only considers water consumption. Forget the fact that the average American also consumes 44 gallons of soda a year, another health epidemic in its own right, most of which is consumed in, you guessed it, plastic bottles. Environmental activism has done an admirable job of advocating the elimination of single-use bottles in favor of reusable ones instead. However, that sustainable swap item is often still made of plastic. To truly choose the best non-toxic option for the world we live in and for our health, a reusable glass, ceramic, or even silicone bottle is the way to go. For those of you wondering why I didn't mention metal bottles as a best option, it's because, contrary to popular belief, they aren't always a safe choice. First of all, you have to be very careful when choosing which brand you are purchasing your metal bottle from. As mentioned before, some do still use harmful chemicals as a protective lining. Secondly, some companies claim their materials are stainless steel, but they are commonly made from aluminum, which can have other negative health effects. Third, stainless steel bottles can leach compounds. One example is nickel, which to 30% of Americans, including myself, is an allergen. Instead, I carry a glass water bottle with me at all times. My exception to this is if I need to lighten my load, for example, when hiking, in which case I opt for a silicone bottle instead. Whichever reusable bottle you choose will drastically reduce your exposure to toxic chemicals. 5. Learn how to choose safer options. Beware of false advertising. When making purchases, remember to be a conscious consumer. Do your research, read the back of packaging, and vote with your dollars by choosing the highest quality available. I understand that finances may limit choices at times. If this is the case, use your voice and reach out to local and state representatives to tell them why toxic chemicals shouldn't have a place in society. I know change can be slow, so in the meantime, if you can't choose the safest options, then remember to prioritize where it's most important and emphasize less toxic to reduce exposures when you can. For example, if plastic items are all that is accessible to you, it is useful to know which plastics are the least toxic. Plastics labeled 3, 6, and 7 are the worst offenders. Those labeled 1, 2, 4, and 5 are considered safe, or rather less harmful, because they are BPA, phthalate, and PVC free. Also, when using any plastic, be sure to avoid heating in the microwave, using in a hot pan, putting hot foods in it, cleaning in the dishwasher, exposing to the sun, or leaving in a hot car. All of these heat sources will increase the amount of chemicals that are released. I firmly believe that the responsibility should not fall to the consumer to know if what we're bringing into our homes and feeding to our children is safe. Unfortunately, companies and industries aren't being held responsible for the human and environmental impacts of their products. One major roadblock to this is what has become referred to as chemical whack-a-mole, a consequential systemic problem. When a chemical becomes widely known as toxic, manufacturers replace that compound with a different one, usually just as if not more dangerous than its predecessor. Again, the BPA and BPS use is a perfect example. Industries are not typically required to prove something is safe before putting it on the market. So until a red flag is raised from widespread toxic effects, there aren't studies looking at the impacts of the latest chemical of choice. Another issue facing consumers is marketing. Product messaging and advertising is simply unreliable and not to be taken at face value. Similar to the lack of regulation around chemical use, there are also very limited rules around product claims. As I explained previously, BPA-free does not mean chemical-free. This problem is universal. If you're familiar with greenwashing, the facade of sustainability many businesses have taken on during the environmental movement, then you'll understand the non-toxic movement is being tainted by the same problem. In the beauty industry, it is referred to as clean washing. My point is, statements such as natural, plant-derived, or anything to that effect does not have to be supported by facts. So don't be fooled by false advertising. As consumers, we have the right to choose the safest options we can, but we have to have the knowledge and resources to do so. Establish a holistic lifestyle. Intentionally commit to healthier habits. 6. Incorporate movement daily. Sweat it out. It is no secret that physical activity is an essential component of longevity and overall health. Exercise also serves as one of the primary ways our bodies release toxins. When we move enough, eliciting a sweat response, we naturally eliminate toxic buildup. While sauna use can also be a helpful tool to flush out toxins through sweat, it should be used in addition to exercise and not as a replacement. Intentional movement increases blood flow and improves oxygen utilization, which supports whole body health. Exercise also stimulates lymphatic drainage and boosts our metabolisms, leading to additional toxin removal. Daily exertion through a consistent exercise routine should be a foundational component to any non-toxic lifestyle. 7. Consider supplementation. Consult a medical provider. There is no shortage of supplements on the market that advertise as supporting detoxification. In reality, most of us only need to utilize supplements if we are truly deficient in an essential vitamin, mineral, or electrolyte. Our bodies are physiologically programmed to detoxify and can do so efficiently up to a certain point if we are fueling ourselves properly. However, even if we are eating perfectly, we can still be lacking in certain nutrients. Modern food is significantly less nutrient-dense due to soil quality depletion. For that reason, talking to our healthcare providers about testing for deficiencies can be a helpful guide when deciding if supplementation is necessary. I invest in high-quality multivitamin, probiotic, zinc, iron, and vitamin D supplements because these best support my overall health and therefore my physiological detoxification. I encourage you to do your research and always consult with a medical professional before starting a new supplement regimen. This is a very individualistic area of health, and it is best to tailor it to your own particular needs. 8. Learn to manage chronic stress. Release harmful emotions. Stress, particularly in a chronically heightened state, is absolutely a noteworthy toxin. The mind-body connection has been well established for years, and the effects of stress on the body are a prime example. Systemic inflammation is one of the major implications resulting from stress. Inflammation can cause an extensive list of problematic consequences throughout the body. Furthermore, stress compromises the immune system, which leads to a decreased ability to combat the inflammatory state and potential disease it may cause. Reducing stress levels better equips our bodies to overcome toxic burden. However, this is often easier said than done. Seeking our professional resources, such as mental health therapy or massage, may be necessary. Creating daily habits such as journaling or keeping a gratitude notebook can also help alleviate and release harmful emotions. 9. Develop a mindfulness practice. Create space for spirituality. Mindfulness is another powerful way to foster a positive mind-body connection. I practice meditation and breathwork, which have an extraordinary impact on my ability to cope with stressful situations. I also create space for spirituality through immersion in nature. Once I cultivated consistency in these routines, there is a noticeable shift in my quality of life, overall joy, and ability to detach from stress. Mindfulness and spirituality can be achieved in a variety of ways. Finding what works best for you in this area is a pivotal step on the journey to establishing a non-toxic lifestyle. 10. Cultivate relationships wisely. Limit negative interactions. We all know what it feels like to be around people who negatively impact our mental headspace or physical energy. These relationships are often labeled toxic, and for good reason. Negative relationships take a huge toll on our overall happiness and well-being. Whether we have an unhealthy connection with a family member, friend, or coworker, the ramifications spill over into other areas of our lives and can be incredibly damaging. Establishing boundaries and expressing our needs can help remedy complicated relationships. Becoming comfortable voicing thoughts, opinions, and emotions respectfully will also go a long way. As social beings, connecting with others is in our DNA, but it is important to be selective about whom we spend our time with. When dealing with a toxic relationship that threatens emotional, psychological, or even physical health, it may be necessary to seek out professional resources. The individuals we spend our time with directly impact our well-being. We should choose to surround ourselves with those who support and understand us. Consider your home. Create a safe haven. 11. Home construction. Know your home. A truly non-toxic home assesses every aspect of construction, right down to the foundation that holds it up and the soil it sits upon. However, most of my audience won't be in the market for buying a new home while reading this. So realistically, location and grand structural changes just aren't feasible. This is why the best advice I can give you in this area is to perform simple, easy evaluations that won't cost too much. Start by checking for water damage and mold, as these can lead to serious health problems. Next, make sure there are carbon monoxide detectors installed. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, when untreated, gas that can have fatal consequences. Radon is another odorless gas and a known carcinogen that can be present in some homes. Radon naturally occurs in soil and can seep into a building through the ground. Some regions of the U.S. and homes with basements are particularly susceptible to this. It is recommended to test for radon, as this is the only way to know if it is present. More costly fixes may be necessary if residing in an older home. Lead is a neurotoxin that was widely used in plumbing pipes and paint before 1980. I highly recommend checking for lead in water, replacing pipes, and recovering walls with non-toxic paint. Asbestos is an airborne contaminant used in building materials before this time as well. Even though asbestos is a known carcinogen, it has not been banned in the U.S. yet and still affects many homes and buildings today. Having a certified inspector check for asbestos is crucial. Before buying a home or when considering a remodel, particularly with older construction, take extra precautions. While some of these warnings about home toxins may seem alarmist and scary, they are quite real and should be taken seriously. Testing for common chemicals and being familiar with the construction materials that make up our homes is a crucial component for ridding toxins from our environments. 12. Home decor. Be conscious when purchasing furnishings. Of course, the materials that construct our homes are not the only thing we need to be scrupulous about. Home furnishings and fabrics can also be incredibly toxic. When these materials are new, they tend to have a distinct odor from off-gassing chemicals, but it can happen even if there isn't a noticeable scent. Additionally, off-gassing doesn't stop when the chemical smell goes away. Fumes release into the air long after the initial air-out period, and those chemicals can persist for years, continuing to wreak havoc on our biological systems. Some of the most concerning chemicals identified as health disruptors in our homes include polybrominated diphenyl ethers, PBDEs, better known as flame retardants, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, such as formaldehyde, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, perfluorinated chemicals, PFCs, antimicrobial agents such as triclosan and acrylate polymers. Many of these are even known carcinogens. These hazardous compounds exist in everything from paint, construction materials, rugs, furniture, mattresses, waterproof treatments, stain treatments, ceiling tiles, composite wood, cabinets, countertops, flooring, glues, sealants, foam, insulation, electronics, home cleaning products, air fresheners, and countless other unassuming places. Before purchasing these items, it is important to investigate the materials, dyes, production methods, factory location, and company ethics. As consumers, we are entitled to this knowledge, as well as any safety testing information that may exist. If a company is unwilling to provide these details, then it's best to keep searching. There are helpful certifications to verify if a company's non-toxic claims are true. Look for badges from Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, Global Organic Textile Standards, GOTS, Okotex Standard 100, Green Guard, or MadeSafe. Avoid anything with the Proposition 65 warning, which is required on products sold in California that include chemicals that may cause cancer, birth defects, or reproductive harm. Proposition 65 is especially disturbing because it highlights the fact that it is commonplace for products to have cancer-causing chemicals. But unless they are sold in the state of California, companies are not required to disclose that information. Another example of safety inquiries falling on the shoulders of the consumer, not the industry. It can be a challenge to find sustainable, non-toxic home furnishings that won't cost a fortune. However, I would rather invest in a minimal, non-toxic lifestyle than have an abundance of questionable chemicals circulating in my living space. Creating a completely toxic-free home doesn't happen overnight, but even little changes can add up to make a big difference. We don't have to overhaul all at once, so start small and be patient. 13. Home cleaning. Use safe products to clean your environment. One of the easiest ways to make a difference in our home environments without a large financial investment is to get cleaning. Specifically, vacuuming and dusting are essential. The chemicals present in home materials and furnishings not only release fumes into the air, but can also become trapped in dust particles. Regularly cleaning our homes helps reduce lingering toxins. However, as I mentioned, cleaning products themselves are full of toxic chemicals and can be a contributor to poor indoor air quality. Cleaning products do not need to contain a long list of chemicals to be effective. We can easily make our cleaners at home with things we already have in our kitchen cabinets. Finding do-it-yourself, DIY recipes online is simple and often only requires things such as water, baking soda, lemon, white vinegar, Castile soap, and essential oils. If mixing up your cleaner seems like too much work, you can opt for purchasing plant-based products. Just make sure to read the ingredients carefully. 14. Fragrance. Stop using products with scents. Another non-toxic swap that can make a big difference in reducing exposure to chemicals at home is ditching products with added fragrance. Fragrances are known to release high amounts of VOCs. They also commonly contain phthalates, which are carcinogens added to make the scents last longer. Manufacturers are not required to list what is contained with their fragrances under the disguise of trademark secrets. When fragrance is indicated as an ingredient, it can, in reality, be a list of hundreds of toxic chemicals hiding behind that single word. We see this in a multitude of household products, such as candles, room sprays, and air fresheners. After eliminating fragrance from my environment, I've noticed when I come across scents, they are more intense and displeasing. Instead, I use essential oils in a ceramic tea light diffuser or a homemade room spray. 15. Reduce waste. Reuse, recycle, and compost. In my home, particularly in the kitchen, I have found the less disposable waste created, the easier it is to avoid toxic materials, a win for the earth and yourself. There are several ways to minimize what we throw away or send for recycling. Reuse or repurpose glass jars and bottles, compost food scraps and other biodegradable items, eliminate single-use plates, cups, and utensils. Stop buying paper towels and napkins and invest in reusable textiles instead. Each small shift we make towards reducing our waste goes a long way in supporting a non-toxic environment. Invest in the elements: air, water, fire, earth, nature. 16. Air. Clean up the air you breathe. The majority of individuals spend up to 90% of their lives indoors. Environmental agencies measure outdoor air pollution using the Air Quality Index, AQI, but there are no regulating measures for indoor air quality. Research has estimated that indoor air pollution is 2 to 5 and at times up to 100 times higher than outdoor pollution, even in the most industrialized cities. Indoor air pollution can be classified into two categories: biological and chemical. Both areas include a variety of toxins that have negative health ramifications. Improving indoor air quality is one of the foundational steps to non-toxic living. One of the easiest ways to improve indoor air quality that you can implement today is to routinely open windows and doors around your home to maximize airflow and ventilation. Another quick yet important fix to breathe quality air is to get outside daily. Regularly dusting and cleaning air vents properly, using a slight damp cloth that can be rinsed instead of using a feather duster, will also benefit your air quality. Additionally, the most important low-cost fix for improved air quality is to eliminate smoke. That means if you, a family member, or your friends smoke, it must be done outside, or better yet, not at all. While these initial steps will make a difference, utilizing an air purifier indoors is also key to decreasing toxins in the air you breathe. Through specialized technology, purifiers remove harmful microscopic particles from the air and release clean air back into circulation. It is particularly important to consider utilizing an air purifier in higher-risk rooms in the home, such as the kitchen, if there is a gas range stove, in the living room, if there is a fireplace, in pet areas to reduce dander, children's rooms, as they are more susceptible, or whichever area you spend the majority of your time. Keep in mind that different air purifiers utilize filters with different purposes and capabilities. I use a photoelectrochemical oxidation (PECO) air purifier. High efficiency particulate air (HEPA) filters are also highly rated. If you decide to add an air purifier to your home, make sure you do your research to choose the best one for your needs. 17. Water. Filter drinking water and stay hydrated. The human body and the earth we inhabit are both made up of 70% water. Staying hydrated with clean water is important for all aspects of health. When it comes to detoxification, specifically, the body relies heavily on the kidneys and liver to filter and remove toxins, a process that demands proper hydration. However, hydration is not just about quantity, quality must also be considered. Research has shown that the majority of tap water often contains harmful chemicals and bacteria, and the same is true for bottled water. Water pollution is similar to air pollution, occurring from chemical and biological sources, and has been linked to adverse health effects for years. Water purification can reduce the most harmful contaminants and improve quality and safety significantly. Protect your health and reduce toxic exposures by filtering your water. Not convinced? The Environmental Working Group, EWG, a nonprofit organization focused on protecting human and environmental health, conducted a study of tap water in the United States. They tested 40,000 water systems and found 316 different compounds of concern, including 93 known or probable carcinogens and 202 unregulated chemicals. Other identified compounds have been linked to brain and nervous system damage, reproductive and developmental harm, and hormone disruption. While tap water is treated at specialized facilities, and there are government health standards for water pollution, these safeguards fail to adequately protect us against toxins. In the United States and many other countries around the world, legislation has not kept up with emerging science. The most recent update of water pollutant limits was over 20 years ago. The reality is, no level of toxins in drinking water is acceptable, no matter what government regulations say, which is why it is critical to do our part to protect ourselves from contaminated water. Although it is important to note that filtration systems are not all created equal. Water filters vary in design and are specified to capture and remove different substances, which is important to consider when choosing the right one for your home. There is no perfect water filtration system on the market, which is why I won't endorse a particular method, but using one is certainly better than none at all. To choose a filter that is most effective for your needs, I encourage you to research what substances are lurking in your tap water. The Environmental Working Group, EWG, has a free online resource where you can find out exactly what chemicals are present in your water by simply entering your zip code. I highly recommend utilizing this tool and investing in a water filter as a vital first step on your journey to non-toxic living. 18. Fire. Get adequate sun exposure daily. Sun exposure is a vital component for human health because it allows the body to synthesize vitamin D naturally. One of the roles of vitamin D in the body is the activation of enzymes required for the detoxification system in the liver. Additionally, low levels of vitamin D have been linked to liver and kidney damage, And as I mentioned before, these are vital detoxification organs. Studies have found as little as 20 to 30 minutes in the sun a day is enough to obtain adequate levels of vitamin D. Of course, factors such as location, time of year, skin tone, age, and how much skin is exposed can affect the time required to produce an appropriate amount of vitamin D. Safe levels of exposure to UV light from the sun's rays is an important elemental consideration. 19. Earth. Heal and reconnect with Earth's surface. Earth's surface soil, just like air and water, can easily become contaminated. In recent history, the impact of deforestation, non-rotational farming, mining, urbanization, and chemical use, such as pesticides and fertilizers, have drastically depleted vital minerals from the Earth's soil. Consequently, crops and food produced are not as nutrient-dense. Beyond the harm human activities are doing directly to the soil, indirect pollutants, such as industrial chemicals, are also problematic. A prime example is trichloroethylene, TCE, a volatile organic compound, VOC, used as a solvent in a variety of industries, dry cleaning being the most well-known source. TCE is a known human carcinogen, and when it is disposed of, it contaminates soil and groundwater. Chemical contamination also occurs from sites such as leather tanneries, textile dyeing factories, pharmaceuticals, and so on. Heavy metals and fertilizers are also of concern. The most alarming heavy metal found in abundance in soil samples is arsenic, a known human carcinogen that is fatal in high doses. Soil is being poisoned from several sources. It is inexcusable, and industries need to be held accountable for proper waste disposal and toxic chemical cleanup. Uncontaminated, quality soil is necessary for everything from clean water and healthful, nutrient-rich food to environmental carbon control. Help protect and heal Earth's soil through advocating for industrial responsibility. At home, you can support healthy soil by composting, planting trees and other greenery, properly disposing of prescription medications, choosing lawn and yard products carefully, and supporting local organic farms. It is our collective responsibility to protect the soil which feeds us and sustains life. If you're curious about the health of the soil at your home, you can perform a soil test to check for pollutants and mineral levels. Healing the Earth's soil is an important mission, and there is also great value in physically connecting with the ground for our own healing. Grounding, or earthing, is a process of creating direct contact between your body and the Earth's surface. When your body connects with the Earth, you receive a charge of energy in the form of free electrons. This energy shift has been shown to help the body carry out many healing functions more efficiently. One of these functional benefits includes boosting the body's ability to fight free radicals, which are created from exposure to toxins and cause damage to our cells. The practice of earthing can be achieved by walking barefoot or laying down on grass, sand, soil, or submerging in a natural body of water. The more we immerse ourselves in the natural world, the more equipped our bodies are to respond to unnatural exposures. 20. Nature. Surround yourself with natural elements. Have you ever heard of nature or forest bathing? This concept of spending time in nature to promote extensive health benefits is well supported by science. I consider spending time in nature an essential component to detoxing from the constant demands of everyday life. Nature provides rejuvenation and healing to the mind, body, and spirit. Increasing the time you spend in nature has a multitude of health benefits beyond breathing fresh air. Another way to promote non-toxic living through the elements is by bringing a bit of nature indoors with the addition of houseplants. Indoor plants, particularly those that purify the air, such as peace lilies, snake plants, weeping fig, golden pothos, bamboo palm, areca palm, Boston fern, aloe vera, white jewel, English ivy, and many others are a great way to support your toxic-free life. Shop healthy. Consider quality, source, and variety. 21. Nutrition quality. Focus on organic, plant-based, whole foods. What we consume is even more important than what we surround ourselves with. High-quality, uncontaminated food is essential to establishing our body's foundation for health. Each cell that makes up your body is created by compounds that come from the fuel sources you choose. And this is where the phrase, "you are what you eat," comes from. Nutrition is an area I could write endlessly on, but for the purpose of non-toxic living, I will keep it as simple as possible. Choose real foods. This is not a prescribed diet or a personal advocation for a particular fad. Diets are unique to each individual, so whatever nutrition plan makes you feel the best is what you should stick with, but you should still be focused on eating real foods. This translates to consuming primarily organic, plant-based whole foods. I'll break that down. Organic refers to foods grown without pesticides, herbicides, chemical fertilizers, irradiation, or genetically modified organisms. Choosing organic options ensures no toxins or carcinogens are tainting the quality of our food. Organic is an absolute must when striving to reduce toxic exposures. When making the switch to organic foods, start with the Dirty Dozen, the EWG's list of 12 most contaminated produce items. Plant-based diets are mostly made up of foods that are grown in nature and limits animal sources. The intake of vegetables, leafy greens, fruits, nuts, seeds, beans, and legumes is the main focus. These food sources provide all the necessary nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and fiber necessary for a healthy lifestyle. Whole food emphasizes unrefined and unprocessed items. Specifically, that means no artificial ingredients. Nourishing ourselves with these parameters in mind decreases our toxic load and optimizes overall health. 22. Nutrition mistakes. Inflammatory items are poisonous. One of the worst things we can do for our health is to create an inflamed internal environment. While it is true that toxic exposures cause inflammation, inflammation is a wicked toxin in its own right. Inflammation is devastating to our body's burden and is often the underlying cause of chronic diseases. Lots of things cause inflammation in the body, but arguably, the most controllable sources are inflammatory poisons from poor consumption choices. I use the word poison because the things we eat that cause inflammation, contributing to disease rather than health, should not be considered food at all. Common items that cause inflammation include refined sugar, refined starches, caffeine, alcohol, dairy, and red meat. We should aim to reduce our consumption of these items as much as possible. If you do choose to consume these items, focus, again, on high quality. For example, sugars should be from natural sources like honey, maple syrup, or agave, Dairy and meat products should be free-range, grass-fed, and meats should also be lean. The most inflammatory toxins we can ingest are preservatives, additives, food coloring, artificial sweeteners, artificial flavoring, natural flavoring, sweetened beverages, processed foods, fried food, trans fat, and inflammatory oils. These items should be eliminated from our diets altogether. I would like to note that it may be beneficial to phase these out gradually. Abruptly removing these items from your diet may cause side effects such as headaches or irritability, and it also may make it harder to adhere to long term. In the beginning, focus on adding in more healthy foods rather than restricting the toxic ones altogether. Another significant inflammatory source that could be contributing to our body's burden is an unidentified food allergy or sensitivity. If you are currently experiencing symptoms that you discern as potentially food-related, it may be beneficial to try an elimination diet. During this process, common food allergens and sensitivities are removed from your diet and then slowly added back in one at a time to see if there are noticeable changes to your overall health. Areas you might notice shifts in include gut health, skin health, energy levels, and a wide range of others. I recommend working with a health coach or nutritionist to make sure this is done safely and to get the full benefit of this process. My last piece of advice for reducing inflammation from dietary sources is to increase the number of fresh foods you cook at home. Avoid prepackaged and pre-cooked meals. Going to restaurants or getting takeout can also increase our body's burden dramatically. Restaurants typically do not use organic foods and tend to cook with highly inflammatory oils. Cooking your meals gives you control over what you're eating and therefore what fuels your body. 23. Nutrition source. Choose local and sustainable food. Where your food comes from is another component of maximizing nutritional quality. The food you buy and eat should be sourced closely from where it was grown and harvested. The further your produce has to travel to get to your plate, the less nutrient-dense it becomes. After crops are harvested, they begin to lose nutritional value, so the more distance it travels to get to you, the less benefit it has. Additionally, environmentally speaking, food transportation requires an abundant amount of fossil fuels, and it also creates excessive carbon dioxide emissions. A great way to ensure your food retains quality is to shop local, sustainable, organic farms. I try to purchase the majority of my produce and products from my local farmers market. Farmers markets give local farmers and vendors a communal place to sell their items, and it is the perfect place to source your food from close to home. Another great option is joining a Community Support Agriculture (CSA) program. CSA is a way to buy local seasonal food directly from the farmer. It is a subscription-based membership that gives you a basket of produce and farm items, typically weekly. Remember, when it comes to nutrition quality, buy real food, not products, that are local, sustainable, and organic. 24. Nutrition variety. Eat the colors of the rainbow. Nutritional intake determines almost all health and functional outcomes of your body. We've all heard, "eat the colors of the rainbow," before. This phrase is a good one to adhere to because different colored foods provide unique substances that the body derives and uses to carry out vital functions. So while it is essential to choose predominantly plant-based whole foods, it is also key to consume a wide variety of them daily. Getting an array of whole foods is important to give your body all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients necessary for health. 25. Sustainability. Bring your bags and use the bulk section. Bringing reusable bags to the grocery store is not just better for the planet, it is better for our health as well. While most markets have removed plastic bags at checkout, there are usually still plastic bags in the produce section. Having a reusable set of bags, ideally made of organic cotton material, protects food from unnecessary plastic contamination. If I ever forget my bags, I will look to see if the store offers a paper bag option and reuse them for recycling at home. Additionally, I always focus on buying whole foods, unwrapped, and uncut products. Again, this reduces contact between food and toxic materials. As I mentioned before, eliminating non-recyclable and non-reusable packaging, especially when made of plastic, is an important part of creating a less toxic lifestyle. An easy fix for this while shopping at the grocery store is to utilize the bulk section. I bring tear-weighted jars along with my reusable bag for this purpose. However, stores with bulk sections will usually provide a tear weight for any reusable jar at the customer service desk. Just remember to do this upon arrival. Another reason to minimize purchasing packaged foods is the typically long list of unrecognizable ingredients. Learning to read labels is essential in any health journey, but is especially true for avoiding toxins. A good rule of thumb is, if you can't pronounce an ingredient, it probably is not safe to consume. On occasion, when I do buy a packaged food item, I always read the label and ingredients list carefully. If the ingredient list has more than 5 components, I will try to find an alternative. Short ingredient lists, 5 or fewer, are usually the best option. Packaged items also subject us to a whole load of marketing gimmicks. A great example of this is the use of the word natural, which has no official standard definition when it comes to products. Natural can be stretched to mean whatever the company sees fit. I also think it's valuable to point out that lead and arsenic are indeed natural, but they are also highly toxic. The moral of this lesson is natural does not mean safe, and claims on packaging are often incredibly deceiving. In the kitchen. 26. Home garden. Grow your food. One easy way we can select high-quality, well-sourced, organic, healthy, and sustainable food options is by growing home vegetable gardens. In addition, planting fruit trees in the yard and assembling an herb garden for the kitchen are excellent ways to grow sustenance for ourselves. Growing our food is incredibly rewarding. It is the best way to know the true quality of what we're putting on our plates, and it can also save money. To get the most benefit from homegrown food, choose organic seeds and soil, avoid fertilizers and pesticides, be wary of products that claim to enhance growth, and use pots or garden beds made from natural materials. 27. Cookware. Know what you're cooking with. Once you invest in high-quality food, you also want to consider what you're cooking it in. Toxic cookware can be hard to recognize, and there are mixed opinions on what the best option truly is. However, one type of cookware that is unanimously known as toxic is Teflon, polytetrafluoroethylene PTFE, including Teflon 2.0. If you're not familiar with the DuPont scandal and its health ramifications in Flint, Michigan, I highly recommend looking into it. You'll be outraged. In my opinion, the fact that the product still exists on the market is criminal negligence. Teflon and other cookware with non-stick claims are an absolute no. These materials contain PFAs, which, as you read before, leach chemicals into food and have been shown to cause cancer and other chronic diseases. This particular source of PFAs are also highly toxic due to fumes that are released when heated above a certain point, which research has shown that it easily exceeds limits when heated on a burner. It only takes 2 to 5 minutes on a conventional stovetop to release hazardous particles. These fumes are fatal to birds, even killing enough birds yearly to have a name: Teflon toxicosis. When humans inhale fumes from nonstick cookware, they are at risk for polymer fume fever, also known as Teflon flu. If you own nonstick pots and pans, it should be a top priority to get rid of them and replace them with better options. So what are better options? After doing a deep dive into cookware, it seems as though there are pros and cons to every material. On my initial review, I came across so much mixed information, it made my head spin. To organize the material, I came up with 3 categories: most toxic, mixed or limited data, and least toxic. Let's review the undeniable toxic cookware. While nonstick is the most concerning, other materials such as aluminum, speckled metal bakeware, uncoated copper, and vintage glass also have known negative health effects. When used for cooking, aluminum leaches significantly into food. Excessive amounts of aluminum have been strongly linked to nervous system damage and degenerative brain diseases such as Alzheimer's. Speckled metal bakeware has also been shown to leach aluminum. Another unsafe metal that contaminates food when cooking is uncoated copper. Particularly dangerous is older copper that is usually coated with tin or nickel, which are other metals that pose a threat. Vintage glass can also be dangerous because it contains heavy metals, including lead. Just like nonstick cookware, these 4 materials have no place in your kitchen. Ceramic nonstick, enamel-coated, and silicone cookware lack data or have mixed conclusions. Many companies advertise ceramic nonstick as non-toxic, free of PTFE and PFAs. It is a tricky marketing ploy that even I fell for. After doing further research, I found that this material, typically made through proprietary Sol-Gen technology, is not completely non-toxic, and it may leach nanoparticles. Few companies disclose third-party testing results or transparent composition reports, and those that do often omit certain metals and chemicals from testing altogether. As a relatively new invention, there is simply not enough information to make an informed decision. Another type of cookware I had a hard time making a final decision on is enamel-coated materials. Some research shows enamel-coated surfaces may be harmful, while others found them to be non-reactive and a suitable alternative to non-stick. Ceramic coating, particularly when improperly cared for, can chip, creating an unsafe cooking surface. Silicone, a synthetic rubber, has limited scientific data to prove it is safe to cook with. While silicone is an FDA-approved material, there is minimal evidence of it being studied for safety when heated. It should be noted that the FDA considers the use of undamaged silicone safe, which means if you notice silicone materials chipping or melting, you should dispose of them. So what are the least toxic cookware options? They include cast iron, carbon steel, stainless steel coated copper, glass, and titanium. Cast iron has been used for centuries, can withstand higher temperatures, and is long-lasting. Cast iron does leach iron into food, however, this is safe for most people. The exception to this is for those who have high iron stores, hemochromatosis. Carbon steel is similar to cast iron. Carbon steel is made up of carbon and iron, so again, if you have issues with excessive iron storage, this is not the best choice. Although it is non-toxic, it is extremely important to buy high quality because there are many falsely advertised alloy metals claiming to be carbon steel. Alloy metals are indeed dangerous, so again, confirm the manufacturing source and the company's reputation. Stainless steel is also an acceptable option, but quality does matter. High-quality stainless steel without a non-stick coating is non-reactive and generally considered safe. Stainless steel does contain nickel, which may leach into food, particularly if it is improperly cleaned with an abrasive. If you have a severe nickel allergy, you will certainly want to consider this. This is not always the case, as I have a nickel allergy and do not have a problem with my high-quality stainless steel pots and pans. Either way, always make sure to clean cookware according to instructions for safety and longevity. Likewise, stainless steel coated with copper is less likely to corrode than copper alone and can be used safely if properly tended. Another great non-toxic option is glass. For baking or roasting, high-quality glass is the way to go. Finally, titanium, without any coatings, is a stable, less expensive option that can safely be used for cooking as well. When searching for cookware, factors such as cost, ease of cleaning, longevity, durability, versatility, and safety are all things to consider. I would urge you to consider that no amount of time or effort saved cleaning with non-stick pans is worth destroying your health over. If the cost is a limitation, consider investing in one pan that can be used for multiple dishes. Otherwise, if you don't have the financial means at this time, you can take steps to minimize risk. For example, reducing the amount of acidic foods and leafy vegetables you cook, since they absorb the most toxins. Although don't forget to consume leafy greens and acidic fruits raw, as they are necessary for nutritional benefits and physiological detoxification. To minimize toxic exposures, choose high-quality cookware. 28. Kitchen instruments. Choose your tools wisely. When it comes to kitchen tools, there's an easy first step to going non-toxic. If I haven't said it enough already, ditch the plastic. In terms of cooking utensils, I have found the best materials for heated surfaces are stainless steel and unfinished bamboo. I do typically prefer stainless steel. When using wood in the kitchen, it must be cleaned immediately, cannot be soaked in water, and cannot be put in the dishwasher. Properly caring for your wooden items is essential for longevity. However, I have found that wooden items have their place at times. Bamboo, when unfinished and free of coating, is naturally antimicrobial and won't harbor bacteria. It is also a wonderfully eco-friendly choice. I love a beautiful wooden cutting board, even though they do require some upkeep. Choosing a high-quality wooden cutting board is a great investment because it will last a long time, plus it will protect your knives. Glass or marble are options for a cutting surface as well, but will lead to knives dulling. Choosing a quality cutting board is high on my list of non-toxic kitchen musts because plastic and other synthetic options can chip and implant microparticles into the food you're preparing. Quality knives are also an essential component of a proper non-toxic kitchen. For non-toxic knives, look for uncoated wooden handles, avoid plastic ones, and ensure they have stainless steel blades. When preparing food or for use without heat, I do occasionally like to use silicone tools. When choosing mixing bowls, measuring cups, and similar items, I tend toward high-quality glass or ceramic. For other miscellaneous items, such as a colander, garlic press, handheld juicer, and so forth, stainless steel is usually the best non-toxic option. 29. Food storage. Store your food smarter. When storing food, ditch plastic bags in favor of silicone ones, swap plastic wrap with beeswax wrap, and aluminum foil with cloth bowl covers and unbleached parchment paper. Glass is the best option for food storage containers at home. However, glass containers do have a fair amount of weight to them, so when leaving the house, I like to use a stainless steel set. Also, when it comes to food storage containers, be careful of plastic lids. When purchasing a set, look for lids made of bamboo or the rare glass center silicone rim option. Additionally, if you already have a glass set that came with plastic lids, you can purchase replacement ones. If you prefer not to replace them, you can use one of the aforementioned items such as beeswax, cloth covers, or unbleached parchment paper with a rubber band as a lid. If you do use plastic lids, only use them for storing cold food and never use them in the microwave or oven. 30. Cooking method. Cook food properly. Speaking of microwaves, I find it best to completely remove them, or if that's not a practical option, then limit use as much as possible. How you cook your food is just as important as the quality of food and what you cook it in. Heating foods in plastic, for all the reasons discussed before, is where most of the harmful effects of the microwave are identified. However, microwaves also can diminish the nutrient content of certain foods. One prime example of this is a study that found just 60 seconds in the microwave was enough to deactivate the anti-carcinogenic compound, alliinase, found in garlic. It has also been suggested that at high temperatures, microwaves produce carcinogenic compounds such as heterocyclic aromatic amines, HCAs, in meats and acrylamide in starches. Furthermore, there have been limited studies suggesting that those who consume microwaved foods versus those who do not have measurable negative effects on their blood composition. Some of these effects include changes in hemoglobin, hematocrit, leukocytes, cholesterol, white blood cells, and lymphocytes. From my perspective, even if all of this limited data was ignored, the decision of how food is cooked comes back to quality. Using the stove or oven will always produce better quality, more nutritious food. If eliminating the microwave from your kitchen gadgets is too drastic, commit to using it as infrequently as possible. Stovetops and ovens, while significantly better than microwaves, do have their drawbacks. Gas ranges emit fumes that can damage air quality. When cooking with a gas range, make sure to always use a ventilation fan. It can also help to open windows and doors to improve airflow and to use an air purifier in the kitchen. Utilizing the back burner more often can also help reduce the emissions via the vent more efficiently. On the other hand, electric induction stoves use electromagnetic fields, EMF. There are controversies over unknown health impacts and safety with EMF exposure. More on these potential dangers later. Electric convection ranges seem to be the least toxic option for cooking, although they are not always the most function for use. When it comes to choosing a stove type, it is best to weigh the options and consider all aspects. I prefer a gas range and always make sure to use it as advised above to minimize any toxic effects. With any stove, it is best to heat food slowly on low and gradually increase heat to keep toxic effects low as well as preserve food quality. When it comes to countertop appliances, I find myself in the camp of if the stove or oven can perform the same task, the extra electric equipment is unnecessary. This is true of microwaves, as well as toasters, countertop ovens, rice cookers, electric water kettles, and others. While these items are not necessarily bad for health, they are often unnecessary. Cutting back on extra appliances saves counter and storage space, reduces clutter, decreases waste, and can improve energy use. For other appliances that have specific functions, like blenders, food processors, juicers, and so forth, it is important to use ones with as little plastic as possible. Particularly when focused on non-toxic living, finding appliances that do not have plastic parts which come into contact with what you're consuming is essential. I have had a difficult time finding plastic-free appliances on the market. There are stainless steel and glass options for some of these items, but they often have plastic lids or parts. For some, this may not be a deal breaker, but I prefer better. The best solution I have come up with is a multi-purpose stainless steel immersion blender. My favorite way to use it is for making smoothies. Using a glass pitcher and handheld blender is a quick, non-toxic fix. Sometimes getting creative can lead to the best solutions. Otherwise, always choose the least toxic option available. In the bathroom. 31. Bathroom essential. Chemical-free toilet paper is a must. Toilet paper comes into contact with the most sensitive and easily affected parts of our bodies multiple times a day. But did you know that a single roll of toilet paper is processed with a gallon of chemicals, including chlorine, bleach, and formaldehyde? In fact, the fluffier and whiter the toilet paper, the more chemicals it contains. More recently, unbleached recycled toilet paper has entered the market, but unfortunately, this product also includes traces of harmful chemicals such as BPA. If you're like me, then the idea of reusable toilet paper just isn't a sacrifice you're willing to make. So instead, I opt for unbleached, dye-free, sustainably harvested bamboo toilet paper. It's the least toxic option on the market, and it's more sustainable. 32. Bathing. Shower cleanly. The shower is another place toxins show up discreetly in our bathroom. The water that comes out of the faucet in the tub is the same tap water we need to filter to drink. It is reasonable to conclude that if we have to filter water before consumption, then we also need to filter water before bathing in it. This is because 70% of what comes into contact with our skin is directly absorbed into our bloodstream. Utilizing a shower filter reduces chemical exposures and, as an added benefit, visibly improves skin and hair health. Another thing that should be addressed in the shower is signs of mold or mildew. These fungi are toxic and can become airborne particles, making them dangerous through both direct contact and inhalation. To reduce the chances of infiltration, make sure to utilize a fan before, during, and after running your shower water. Bathtubs requiring a shower curtain and liner also attract mold and should be laundered regularly. Additionally, shower curtain liners themselves are made of harmful chemicals. Most curtain liners are plastic, containing PVCs or PEVAs, which by now we know are both highly toxic materials, particularly when exposed to heat. If you can, install a glass door on your shower to avoid the need for a curtain. Otherwise, opt for a waxed organic hemp shower curtain for a non-toxic option that doesn't require a plastic liner. Plastic is also present in shower accessories that come into contact with our body, such as synthetic loofahs, body sponges, and pumice stones. Instead of using these items, choose natural versions instead. Bath mats and towels should be made out of natural, preferably organic, materials as well. Textiles are often made with toxic dyes and fabrics, which I will discuss further in another section. 33. Personal care. Avoid chemical ingredients. The market is flooded with unsafe and unregulated personal care products. The EWG estimates, on average, women apply over 168 chemicals to their bodies every day. Additionally, 1 in every 5 adults is potentially exposed to all of the top 7 carcinogenic product impurities every day. Like many other consumer products, personal care products do not have to prove safety before being sold on the market in the U.S. However, there are much more stringent regulations in the EU, Australia, and Canada. Purchasing products from reputable brands based in these more regulated countries is a good way to reduce toxic chemicals from your skincare routine. When choosing personal care products, it is best to do your research and use caution. As I've mentioned before, beware of marketing claims as well as the industry's clean washing problem. Ingredient lists for personal products are so long and complicated, it can be hard to know what they truly contain. As with food selection, it is best to look for recognizable ingredients and to choose products with small ingredient lists. Finding products in glass bottles or jars, free of plastic and unnecessary packaging, is also a good idea. Remember, any time we apply something to our skin, we should be asking ourselves, would it be safe to eat this? If the answer is no, we really shouldn't be using it. 34. Skincare, cosmetics, and soaps. Choose safe products. The market for clean beauty has increased tremendously. More companies are developing toxic-free products than ever before, making it easier to find safer alternatives. However, it has also led to increasingly false advertisements. Before purchasing personal care products, make sure to read the ingredient lists carefully, just like when shopping for food. Additionally, never blindly trust label claims or be fooled by marketing. Statements such as natural, clean, phthalate-free, formulated without parabens, unscented, fragrance-free, and similar assertions do not necessarily mean a product is safe. When in doubt, check out EWG's Skin Deep Cosmetics database or download the Think Dirty application for mobile devices. 35. Do it yourself. DIY. Make your toiletries. The safest way to avoid toxic self-care products is to make them yourself. This is much easier than it may sound. Do you have an empty glass jar, water, coconut oil, baking soda, peppermint, and tea tree essential oils? If not, how about just baking soda and water? Those ingredients are all that's necessary to create a non-toxic homemade toothpaste. This swap cuts out nasty toxic ingredients such as fluoride, triclosan, carrageenan, and sodium lauryl sulfate. And that's just one example. DIY toiletries don't have to be complicated. Plus, there are tons of free recipes available on the internet. Give it a try for yourself and see how simple it can be. In the bedroom. 36. Choose a safe sleep foundation. Look for an organic mattress. Our mattresses have the ability to provide a safe place for rest or to pollute our bodies and air. Choosing a mattress free of harmful chemicals is an important step towards creating a non-toxic environment. Polyurethane foam, flame retardants, VOCs, antimicrobials, PVC, and vinyl components in mattresses can all release toxins into our bodies and bedroom air. Since most of us spend 7 to 9 hours a day sleeping, having a non-toxic mattress is crucial. When shopping for or replacing your mattress, look for organic and no VOC or low VOC certifications. Also, be sure to allow a new mattress to air out before use. If a new mattress isn't an option right now, use an organic mattress protector and a bedroom air purifier. 37. Select organic textiles. Cozy up in clean fabrics. Our textiles, such as pillows, blankets, sheets, comforters, and duvets, should also be made of safe materials. Avoid synthetics and opt for natural organic materials instead. Keep an eye out for organic certifications for these items as well. Additionally, launder these items in hot water before first use and frequently thereafter. 38. Get proper sleep. Prioritize restorative hours. We all know that proper sleep is vital for our overall well-being and optimal health. Essential functions carried out during sleep include physical and mental detoxification. Prioritizing restful sleep is a significant component to supporting a non-toxic lifestyle. 39. Establish routines. Commit to morning and evening rituals. Daily rituals are an incredibly important part of successfully achieving our goals. Establishing routines, particularly around waking and sleeping hours, helps us recommit to our values and can have a drastic impact on our ability to follow through with tasks. Pursuing a non-toxic lifestyle is not a destination, it's a journey that is well supported by structured habits. 40. Declutter. Clean up your space. When we look around our sacred space of rest, we should be asking ourselves if each item serves a function or brings us joy. If it does neither of those things, we don't need it laying around. The more clutter we surround ourselves with, the more we are potentially exposing ourselves to unnecessary toxins. Unused items tend to gather and accumulate dust, which is full of toxic residues. Decluttering these excess possessions in our environments helps to purify not only our surroundings, but also our bodies and minds. Getting organized is another wonderful step towards supporting non-toxic living. in the closet. 41. Know what's in your closet. Minimize synthetic clothing. When purchasing clothing items, do you look to see what they're made of? Unfortunately, synthetic fabrics are standard in the fashion industry. The materials and the estimated 8,000 chemicals they are produced with can both contribute to our body's toxin load. Synthetic fibers, such as acrylic, rayon, nylon, polyester, viscose, vegan leather, and acetate, should be eliminated from our wardrobes as much as possible. We also need to be careful with modal, lyocell, and bamboo fabric types. While these newer materials are more naturally sourced, the chemical processing typically used to produce the fabrics still includes dangerous chemicals. Additionally, the current trend of recycled plastic textiles is best avoided as well. No consumer studies evaluate the safety of wearing these polyethylene terephthalate (PET) items, and the chemicals required to manufacture them are the same ones used to make traditional polyester, which are known toxins. I think it is safe to assume that since consumption of food or beverages from plastic materials is dangerous, wearing them against our skin is not safe either. Environmentally speaking, the implication that recycling plastics into fabrics is helping our planet is not entirely truthful. Fabrics shed microplastics when laundered, which pollute waterways. They also continue to contribute to the plastic waste epidemic when they reach the end of their life cycles. Chemicals are also introduced into your clothing items through water-resistant, waterproof, stain-resistant, and crease-free treatments. Creating a closet that is primarily organic, natural fibers, such as hemp, cotton, linen, silk, wool, and cashmere, will go a long way in reducing toxic exposures. Emphasize organic, plant-based, and cruelty-free animal textiles. Look for certifications such as GOTS, Okotex, or Blue Sign. It is also always a good idea to wash all new clothing before wearing it to cut down on any residual residues or pollutants it may have come into contact with. Developing a completely toxic-free closet is not entirely feasible, but we can strive to choose the majority of what we wear more consciously. I started my toxic-free closet journey with the items that interact with my skin the most, such as base layers, intimates, and socks. When wearing a less safe item, such as a treated rain jacket or a specific piece of gear for a hobby, I wear a non-toxic base layer to minimize contact with my skin. The more we avoid synthetic and chemically treated clothing from touching our skin, the lower our risk of absorbing toxic chemicals. 42. Wear colors safely. Look for naturally dyed fabrics. Aside from the chemicals that process our clothing and the materials that our clothes are made from, dyes and pigments used to color fabrics can also be problematic. Most synthetic dyes are made from petroleum, and some even contain heavy metals to set dyes into the fabric. To avoid these toxins, purchase from companies that use natural or vegetable-based, low-impact, biodegradable dyes. Again, checking to see if a particular brand is GOTS certified can help make this search easier. 43. Avoid tracking in toxins. Take your shoes off. Taking your shoes off before entering your home might not seem like a big deal, but this habit can significantly reduce toxins that are tracked indoors from outside. Throughout our daily lives, we go from place to place, and our shoes come into contact with surfaces littered with toxic dirt and chemicals. We track over petroleum and other harmful substances just by getting out of the car at a gas station. Even if we wipe our shoes on a mat, particles containing pesticides, lead, cadmium, and other harmful compounds remain accumulated on the bottom of our shoes. Having a remove your shoes before entering the house policy is a simple way to reduce toxins tracked into our homes. 44. Wash laundry with care. Clean clothes delicately. Conventional laundry products are full of dangerous ingredients, many of which are designed to embed themselves into fabric and leave a certain smell, or even change the texture. These chemicals then remain in contact with our skin nearly the entire day, replacing unsafe laundry products, including detergents, fabric softeners, and stain removers, with less harmful alternatives, is a central component for non-toxic living. Laundry detergents should be kept simple. Go back to basics as much as possible. They should have a short list of ingredients with either washing soda or Castile soap as a base, and they should not be colored. These options are equally effective and usually less expensive than other detergents. Fabric softeners contain harmful fragrances and are often unnecessary. When I eliminated fabric softeners from my washing routine, I didn't notice any difference in the feeling of my clothes, and I was no longer adding needless chemicals. We should also limit the use of bleach as well, but if it is necessary, choosing a non-chlorine bleach is a better swap. Also, utilizing a plastic-catching laundry bag or investing in a washer filter will prevent microplastic fibers, which shed from synthetic fabrics, from polluting waterways and soil. A natural woven wood basket or a natural fabric hamper should be used in place of plastic ones. Additionally, doing laundry ourselves, rather than using a service or sending for dry cleaning, is a much safer option. Dry cleaning emits probable carcinogenic chemicals into the air and fabrics being treated. Sending laundry to be done via an outside service will also expose your textiles to toxins. Doing laundry at home, even if that means hand washing with a delicate soap, will always be a healthier choice. 45. Minimize dryer use. Hand dry laundry. Another area I choose to stick with simple traditional basics is when drying laundry. Use a natural, uncoated wood rack or a clothesline and pins to hang and dry the majority of items. Hang drying saves energy and increases the longevity of fabrics. When utilizing the dryer as necessary, remember not to use dryer sheets, as these are made with toxic chemicals. Instead, throw in wool dryer balls and add a few drops of essential oils if a fresh scent is desired. In the office. 46. Monitor technology use. Intentionally disconnect. There are mixed opinions on the potential risks electronic device use may pose to human health. Radio frequency electromagnetic fields, RF, EMFs, emitted from cell phones, tablets, laptops, Bluetooth devices, and so forth, emit low-level non-ionizing radiation. Exposure to EMFs at high levels is known to cause damage to cells and DNA. However, scientists continue to disagree about the risk of low-level exposures that occur from commonly used devices. Low-level EMFs are currently classified as a possible human carcinogen. In particular, cell phones continue to be studied for their potential link to cancer. Many researchers believe there is enough evidence to conclude that long-term, low-level exposure to non-ionizing radiation should be classified as a carcinogen. At present, a widely controversial area where this topic is being explored is the use of 5G technology, which emits a low to mid-level EMF. Some European countries have retroactively banned the use of 5G-capable towers until safety can be proven. While eliminating electronic devices isn't practical or realistic, minimizing our exposure to RF EMFs is advisable. Keeping wireless electronics away from our bodies as much as possible is a good place to start. We should avoid carrying our phones in our pockets and try to avoid resting our tablets or laptops directly on our laps. Turning off our Wi-Fi routers and switching our devices to airplane mode at night is also a good idea. Opting to use wired headphones instead of wireless is another way to limit direct contact with EMFs. We can also reduce the amount of RF EMF-capable devices in our homes, as well as turn off devices that are not in use. Steering clear of the wearable device trend may also be in our best interest. Even though the risk of toxicity from low-level EMFs is still debated among scientists, it is important to monitor our use and disconnect when we can. 47. Limit artificial light exposure. Reduce blue light. Constant exposure to artificial blue light, particularly in the evening hours, disrupts our circadian rhythms. Circadian rhythms are our innate internal clocks that regulate our sleeping and waking cycles. Excessive blue light use causes a drop in melatonin levels, which makes it difficult to fall asleep and reduces sleep quality. As I mentioned before, proper sleep is vital for our body's physiological detoxification process, so being cognizant of things that may hinder that is an important part of non-toxic living. Utilizing blue light glasses and switching screens to night mode can help mitigate the effects. Prioritizing natural light exposure during the day can help as well. 48. Choose fulfilling work. Find joy in your career. The majority of us commit a fair portion of our lives to professional obligations, spending a significant amount of time in our place of work. However, work environments can be toxic, either from physical exposures to hazardous substances or from excessive mental strife. If you work in a field that handles dangerous substances, be sure you are given adequate protection. Employers are required to notify and educate employees on chemicals they may be exposed to. Always voice concerns to management and report any workplace violations to proper authorities. On the other hand, mental workplace toxicity can stem from constant stress, low morale, bad leadership, or overwhelming negativity. These matters can lead to burnout or depression and should be addressed. Quitting isn't always an option, so use the resources available to you. Try communicating clear boundaries with coworkers, speaking with your manager, or explaining the situation to human resources. Creating a healthy work-life balance and finding joy in our chosen careers is an elemental part of supporting our overall well-being. 49. Create boundaries around media consumption. Silence the noise. In the modern world, we are constantly bombarded with information. We are influenced by what we watch, read, engage with in the world, see in the news, hear from others, view on social media, and so forth. We take in all of this noise and process it continuously. These external influences have extreme effects on our energetic beings. While these exposures aren't as severe as carcinogenic chemicals, they can lead to toxic mental overload. Creating boundaries around what information we consume is an essential component of mind-body health. Remembering to spend time disconnecting from technology and relentless external influences can be incredibly beneficial when it comes to fostering optimal health.